Hi, I'm Tinashe. Welcome back to my channel TGC, the Gents Code. Today I'm going to be talking about a very controversial topic, the battle between cheap and expensive clothes. I'm going to start by asking you a question. What's your definition of cheap and what's your definition of expensive? However you answer that question, I think we can all agree that cheap and expensive are both subjective terms. And cheap will be something that costs less money in relation to something else. And expensive will probably be something that costs more money in relation to something else. So you actually realize that the definition of cheap and expensive is relative and quite subjective and would depend on a person. So it's going to vary from person to person. But there are a few things that in this video I'll talk about, and we will both agree on certain issues. For example, let's say you earn £5,000 a month and there's a shoe that costs £200. It's probably a shoe that you're not going to regard as very expensive. It's probably going to be one of those things that you would buy potentially on an impulse buy if you wanted. Then comes a shoe that costs £1,000. Relative to what you earn, that's probably something that costs a significant amount. Then take someone, for example, earns £1,000 a month, and they see a shoe that costs, let's say, £20. That's probably something that's going to be relatively cheap to them, something that they could literally be an impulsive buy. And that person, when they look at a shoe that costs £200, that's something that's probably really, really expensive in their budget. So you have to realize that ranging or, varying from person to person, the actual definition of cheap and expensive varies. Then over the years, I've realized that I've come to a point where it's less about the quantity, but more about the quality. And you realize that at different price points, you get different types of quality. But you also realize that the higher you go in terms of price, in terms of quality, the returns start to diminish. What I mean by this is you realize that as you spend more, you get more quality. But once you hit a certain amount, the more you spend doesn't necessarily mean you're getting more quality. I've come to a point where now I am really about investing in the things that I buy. The things that I buy, when I say investing, I don't mean I expect to get any sort of financial return from them, but I mean like in terms of satisfaction, the satisfaction I get when I wear the clothes. Do I get excited when I wear these clothes? I mean, for some people who clothes is not really an emotional subject or passionate subject, I understand. When you wear clothes, it's just your point is just not to be naked. But for some people, I understand that when they wear clothes, they want to appreciate the quality of the material they're wearing. They want to appreciate the craftsmanship that's been put in what they wear. They want to buy a piece that will not last them just a season. They want to buy a piece that they'll wear for 2, 3 years, 4 years down the line. So I'll just start by dispelling a few myths. First one being that just because something is priced higher than something else does not necessarily mean that it's of higher quality. Or just because something is priced less than something else does not necessarily mean that it's of inferior quality. I'm going to try to dispel another myth that is probably subconsciously in a lot of people's minds at the moment, which is that you need a lot of clothes. And I'll tell you for certain that you do not need nearly as many clothes as you have right now. Hear me out. What I've realized is that a lot of people, myself included, well, I mean, that's before, not now. I used to have a lot of clothes that I owned, right? I've accumulated all these clothes, but I've actually realized that I don't wear all of them. Here's where my argument comes. If you own so many clothes in your wardrobe and you don't wear most of them, you only wear a few items, you're always repeating a few items, why do you even own these other items? What I know to be true is you probably own too much of the same thing. You own too much of the same item. And I would say, why not spend a little bit more for more quality and sacrifice on the quantity? Because you realize that no matter how many clothes you own, you're never going to be able to wear each and every item. I know maybe your excuse to own a lot of clothes might be, oh, I want the variety, I want the choice. But I'll tell you for certain that no matter how much variety and choice you might have, you are never going to wear all those clothes enough times for you to actually fully enjoy them. I want to propose to you a different approach when you're building up your wardrobe, your clothes, your outfits, your collections, whatever you might want to call them. And say, for example, if you have 10 suits and you're prepared to spend £1,000 for that suit collection, so that's about £100 per suit. And think of it this way: if you cut that down in half, right? Now you don't, if you cut down the amount in half, the amount of suits you want to own, so that's five, but don't change the budget, you still have a £1,000 budget. Now obviously you have the ability to spend up to £200 per suit. So what this is going to enable you is it's going to enable you to spend more on each piece. And what that means is you're going to be able to get more quality for each piece. And what it also means is it's a bit of an investment on your part. Now that you know that you spend £200 on a suit, you're not just going to leave it in the wardrobe, just on the hanger there and not being worn for an entire year. Because you know how much you spend, how much you've committed to that garment, you're going to want to wear it more. I'm actually one of those people who I like to enjoy my clothes, right? Exactly, yeah. Enjoy your clothes. Do you enjoy your clothes? If there is something in your wardrobe that when you wear, you don't necessarily enjoy it, it's just like another piece of clothes. If it's not like essentials, or there are things that can be just essentials in your wardrobe, maybe just like a t-shirt, that can be an essential that you wear under your shirt, things like that. That could be an essential. But I mean, there are things, for example, a suit. It has to be something that you enjoy wearing. A shirt, it has to be something that you're like, yeah, I'm actually really excited to be wearing this. And what you realize is when you spend more on a piece of work, when you take more time to be thinking about, oh, I actually want to put more thought into what I'm buying in terms of the quality and what you're prepared to spend on it, the investment, the financial investment you're putting into it, you realize that you want to get the most out of that thing that you'll be wearing. You want to get the most value out of it. And you actually realize that you own those things for a longer time, and you see yourself 2-3 years down the line, you still be owning those things. And just because you spend a considerable amount on that piece, it's not going to be something that you just want to replace just after a year. So it's going to be something that you want it's just going to be something that you want to wear over the years. What I've realized with things that I've just kind of bought on an impulse buy, there are things that even after a season, I'm prepared to change them. After 2-3 months, I'm getting the exact same thing, maybe just slightly a different color variation, or just maybe slightly different, I don't know, style. But in actual fact is I'm continuously replacing and buying more and more of the same item. So you realize that the less you spend on an item, the more you're prepared to quickly recycle the item. So maybe after 2 or 3 months, you want to buy another one of the same item. So you remember, the less commitment or the less investment on your part financially, the more you're prepared to replace it. People are different. Some people like to live that recycling life where they are going for shopping every single week, every single month. And for some people, I know they like to build their collection, quality pieces that they're actually proud to wear, build up their collection like slowly but certainly surely in terms of quality. And you want to invest more in your pieces. You want to be owning clothes that you actually are excited to wear on a daily basis, and you don't just leave them in your closet gathering dust over the year. I hope you understand that I'm not saying go and break the bank when you buying your clothes. But what I'm just saying is, are you getting the best quality of clothes for the budget you're prepared to spend? Or are you just that person who's just maybe blindly, maybe subconsciously, just find yourself buying so many clothes that you don't really need, and you're sacrificing so much on the quality that you even leave these clothes unworn for long periods of time? So in summary, what I'm really saying is, when you're buying something, do you really need what you're buying? And basically just get the best that you can with the budget that you have.